Good afternoon, and I welcome you again to another edition of Working for You. Thank you very much for joining us for our program today. I am Les Roy Williams. Your company, of course, is appreciated from week to week. We continue to bring you information that is very timely, very pertinent about what is happening here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Today, we are going to be discussing a very important issue, and it has to do with our health. Today, we are going to be discussing the prevention and control of metabolic chronic diseases. And of course, we know that in the Caribbean, it is a chronic problem. Metabolic chronic disease is a chronic problem, and it is a disease really on our society that has created a lot of economic and social costs. It is the major cause of death in St. Kitts and Nevis and in most Caribbean countries. And of course, what happens with having metabolic chronic disease is that it lowers production and growth in many Caribbean countries. So it is really the new challenge, if we want to call it that, for productivity and growth. And so we are going to be discussing today measures that can be taken to cut down on the incidences of metabolic chronic disease. I have in the studio with me officials from the Health Promotion Unit within the Ministry of Health, and they will engage you on this topic of the prevention and control of metabolic chronic disease. To my immediate right, I have Miss Vera Edwards-France, and she's the health educator counselor within the Health Promotion Unit. Welcome, Miss Edwards-France.
Thanks for having me.
Then I have Mr. William Chen, who is the Metabolic Disease Program Coordinator, and of course the ICDF, which is the International, what's that, Mr. Chen?
That's Taiwan International Cooperation or Development Fund.
Yes, Taiwan International Cooperation Development Fund. And then I have the Mrs. Novelia Rollins Wusu.
Happy to be here with you this afternoon.
Right. And Mrs. Wusu is the Metabolic Disease Program Coordinator. I made an error before. And Mr. Chen is the Program Manager for the Capacity Building Project for the Prevention and Control of Metabolic Chronic Disease. So that is corrected. Thank you very much for coming here. It is very much appreciated. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Chen. In terms of the metabolic chronic disease, what is metabolic chronic disease?
The metabolic chronic disease, I believe that you're already aware of the NCDs, non-communicable diseases. And the non-communicable disease, it's actually a broad chronic diseases. So we would like to narrow it down to metabolic chronic diseases such like hypertension, diabetes, and kidney disease and heart disease. So that's those certain kind of diseases, we call it metabolic chronic diseases.
Right, and non-communicable diseases, you say, is a broad umbrella under which the metabolic chronic diseases fall. Now, why metabolic?
It's for this project that we cannot really care that broad umbrella because, for example, those respiratory disease, and we are not so like this project is not so much focused on those things. And for example, the cancers, we don't really pay that much attention on this one, but we do have screenings for this, but we think the certain limit budget we want to focus on more like hypertension, diabetes, and CKD. These diseases are more well known here, and then it's like the major issues that here you have. Mm-hmm.
So CKD is chronic kidney disease.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the focus is basically on hypertension, diabetes and chronic kidney disease. And of course, we have a lot of that here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Now, Mr. Chen, these diseases are termed lifestyle diseases.
Yes, correct. Mm-hmm.
And so basically, they have to do with our lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And our lifestyle includes the habits that we have, our diet, how we exercise, and all of that sort of a thing. So, how can they be prevented? Tell me.
All right. So, for example, that you say diet, I would say diet account for your 70% of your situation. Yeah. So you have to pay more attention on your diet, what you eat. So, for example, you cannot really eat a lot. If you consume a lot of energies that you don't need, and it will be stored in your body as fat. Yeah. And I would say exercise, and exercise only account for 30%. If you eat a lot, and then you have to exercise a lot more than what you eat to get rid of those fats. Yeah, and we so-called a balanced lifestyle. For example, not just your diet and not just your exercise, physical activities. That you also have to, for example, drink enough water, and then you have to sleep enough. You have to. You don't need, for example, you probably need to have some moderate drinking, or you have to stop smoking. You have to cease those bad habits. Yeah, so-called balanced diet. Balanced lifestyle. Mm-hmm.
So we are talking about a balanced lifestyle, which includes a balanced diet.
Yeah.
And
regular exercise.
Regular exercise.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now, when we speak about a diet, what is a balanced diet? And what are some of the foods that you would look for, or that people should practice in eating in relation to a balanced diet?
Mm-hmm. Okay, a balanced diet, that we will divide the diet into, the major part is carbohydrate and protein and fats. And actually a person, a day, you should consume your carbohydrate the most, and then moderate protein, and then the rest is fats, oil. Yeah. And then I found that people, they just they just consume a lot of rice, they consume a lot of carbohydrate, starch things. Most of the people, when you look at their plates, it's just a heap of carbohydrate, rice, or starches, or combination of all those kind of things, and they just have a little bit of veggies and fruit just besides. Yeah, and that's why people consume too much energies, and then it will develop into obesity, and then obesity is very, very highly linked to non-communicable diseases. Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, rice is a staple.
Yeah.
And of course, it's interesting that you spoke about rice, because China produces so much rice, and Taiwan produces so much rice. You have a lot of rice, of course,
That's
over in Asia. So it means then that you consume
rice. Yes,
rice,
exactly. Yeah.
and a lot of rice. So how do you do it in terms of, because I remember my visit to Taiwan, I didn't see many fat people there. Maybe I just didn't see them. But
it depends on like what you what's your work. If you have a lot of work, you're heavy. Your workload is heavy, so you must consume more portion size of rice, because that is the building. That's the energy resource that you going to you getting from. And for normal person, for example me, like sitting down in the office, so usually I won't take a lot of rice. Probably just a quarter of. For example, you imagine a round plate. Probably I just take half of the, half or a quarter of the plate of rice. That's enough for me for one meal. Yeah.
Right.
So that's the practice.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of these things have to do with our habits, but our habits sometimes are shaped by economics.
True.
And sometimes people cannot afford to buy certain foods. So you find that rice will be very cheap. And so therefore, that is probably one of the reasons that you will have more rice. Sometimes vegetables are costly.
Yes.
And so
yes.
therefore, you will buy less vegetables, you have less vegetables. Now, I'm not saying that as an excuse for people not to eat more vegetables, because of course they can grow their own.
Yes.
And so sometimes the economics is a factor in terms of what people can afford and what they basically cannot afford in terms of their diet.
Yes, I noticed that too, because I stay in the other countries before, and because they cannot afford the pricey veggies and fruits, so they, for fill up their stomach, they usually purchase a lot of rice to have them. But my point is, actually we people, we don't really need that much rice to survive. Yeah, if you want to remain your figure fit in healthy condition, we don't really need that much. That's the point.
In the Caribbean, it is a fact that, of course, we have the rice, and then we have the potato salad.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have some macaroni pie, and then we are going to have the corn pie, and all of that in one meal. And all of that is starch.
But the strategy is you can have various of the combination. For example, you can have rice, you can have macaroni pie, you can have other starch things, but just a little bit. So compile of a half a plate of your starch food. And if you're going to have those much things, of course, exercise, you have to do that to get rid of the excess fat that you really need. Yeah.
So exercise burns off the calories.
Yes. For example, me, I play tennis in the morning, and in the nighttime I go to gym. So I do a lot of workout to keep my figure slim.
Right. So exercise is so important.
Yes.
Very important. Now, what is the recommendation in terms of how much people should exercise, perhaps per week?
So for the general public, that we have a recommendation about a week, you need to exercise at least 3 to 5 times, and every time 30 minutes. That's the recommendation for general public.
Now, exercise, from what I am hearing you say, is a preventative measure. It can be a preventative measure to really contracting some of these metabolic chronic diseases.
It can be control method too. Once if you have hypertension or you have diabetes already, exercise is a good way to lower down your readings as well.
So it is both control
and then prevention
and prevention. Right. Now, tell me a little bit in terms of Mr. Chen, in terms of the capacity building project and how this project has been going, and how are you carrying out this project in terms of reaching people, the population? What institutions are you working with? Because a lot of it, I think, has to do with education in terms of helping people to understand how they can prevent and control metabolic chronic disease.
So this project, based on the previous project, which is chronic kidney disease project, and we realized that not just kidney disease here, that you also are high in hypertension and also diabetes, those kind of metabolic chronic disease. So we decided to extend it to those diseases. And this project, so we call it the prevention and control of metabolic chronic disease. And the capacity building part that we do, we're going to provide training courses for those staff in the medical institutions. We train them, so we call it capacity building. So once the medical staff, they are trained, so we will make sure when the clients they go to seek for help at a medical institute, they will get proper care and they will get proper treatment. Yes. And regarding the prevention and control part, that we host health screenings, and then we reach out to the public departments and private department, churches, schools. We reach out to them and then we do health screening for them. Yes, and while we do health screening, we will have a consultation. So in the end of the screening, people will be consulted by their readings. Once their reading are high, they will be consulted how to manage their illness, or how to prevent it, or how to control. Yeah, and even that we will provide them the educational flyers for them, so they can share, not just for them, they can share with their families, or they can share with their friends. Yeah, it's all health education, a part of health education. What we want to prevent we want to enhance the self-management ability for the community residents. Yeah. And then we work with this project. We work with the Ministry of Health. Mostly it's the health promotion unit.
St. Kitts and Nevis has developed quite a smoking culture. And not so much cigarettes as you would see in places like, you go to London or places in Europe and some other countries.
I know that.
But a smoking culture, the smoking culture of which I speak, is that of marijuana or weed smoking or ganja smoking. Does that impact at all on people contracting some of these metabolic chronic diseases? Is there any studies that show that? Or it is mainly limited to tobacco?
Mainly limited. I think that's mainly now most of the research is that they're just mainly linked to tobacco. But I believe if you smoke a lot of marijuana, I mean this weed, it also affects, because when you smoke that, you have different reactions, and once you have a non-communicable disease, that you may not well manage your illness. So I think that also affects as well.
Right, we have a drinking culture as well. And how does alcohol affect these things? Because, I mean, sometimes to drink is seen as something manly. You know, as soon as a young boy reaches 18 years old, say, man, let's go and bang some drinks. You know, and he doesn't take just one or two, but he drinks excessively.
Yeah, excessively. Yes, that's right. It's not moderate. Okay, so in this case, and we all know that alcohol is actually energy as well. And the energy is like more than the carbohydrate. So once you drink excessively alcohol, it will bring up your energy, and then it will make your sugar high as well. Yeah, so we don't really recommend that. You can drink, but you just drink moderately, just to control it.
Right, because some people say even drinking red wine is very good. It's very good for your health and so on. But my question is any alcohol good for your health?
In this aspect, so we will recommend, for example, men and women, they have different recommendations. For men, for example, you can have 2 glasses of red wine a day, but for women, only one cup of red wine is recommended. And in different kinds of alcohol, for example, beer and spirits and red wine, white wine, they all have different concentrate of alcohol. So they have different amount of recommendation as well.
Yes, my question is, are you better off if you don't drink alcohol than if you drink alcohol?
You know, some studies says that in the red wine they have some kind of phytochemicals that is good for the health, the body health, and it depends if you believe it. Yeah, you. But for me, alcohol, that it's energy. So if you want to drink it, then you have to drink it moderately, and then you have to take good care of your energy consumption.
Right. So the person who does not drink at all or does not smoke at all is at less risk.
Yes. That's less risk than
risk to their health.
Yes. That's true.
Right. Okay, but if you're going to drink, of course, you drink in moderation.
Yes.
And if you're going to smoke, you still smoke in moderation, or don't smoke at all.
I think I would say don't smoke at all, because the chemical things the tobaccos will stay in your body that's hurt for your body. Yeah, so
it stays in your body.
It won't be removed from your body. So I would say cease smoking. Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay, we are going to move on to the Ministry of Health, and in particular the Health Promotion Unit. They have what you call the SKN Moves. And SKN Moves was designed particularly to promote healthy lifestyle, to combat some of what we were talking about. So I am going to ask, to tell us a little bit about SKN Moves. There's a campaign that is coming up and so on.
So SKN Moves is a health campaign that is aimed to reduce the incidence of non-communicable diseases in our federation, and that incorporates our metabolic diseases, right? We want to do that by creating healthy lifestyle, to enhance the healthy lifestyle culture here in the federation, and it's centered around eating practices, regular physical activities, regular health checks or health screenings, and we are embarking on our 3rd anniversary here coming up August 9th will be our 3rd anniversary of the SKN Moves, where we encourage our citizens to get moving, you know, not just eat and sit down, but to eat and get up and get moving. And that helps increased physical activity really helps in getting us to a good healthy lifestyle. And so to commemorate this, our 3rd anniversary, we will host again. Last year we started our 7-week campaign, and the different departments are all geared up towards this campaign activity, which spans 7 weeks from August 1st through to September 15th. Yes.
Yes, so what are some of you have 7 weeks or 7-week campaign. So what can we look forward to in terms of activities for these 7 weeks?
So some of our activities include, in week 1, we'll be focusing on breastfeeding. That is our breastfeeding week. And we all know here in the Federation that breast is best, you know, so we encourage our mothers to breastfeed their children. And our nutrition department there will be setting the pace, you know, to get our mothers started with the breastfeeding program in collaboration with our institution, right? And so that will happen in our 1st week. And in our 2nd week, we will have our SKN Move anniversary celebrations from the 8th to the 13th, sorry. And on the 9th, that is our anniversary day, so we'll be having a health screening on that day. And on the 13th, we will be having our anniversary walk, our early morning walk, starting at 5 a.m. at the cinemas there, Caribbean Cinemas at 5:30. We encourage everyone to log on our website and participate, sign up, register your business, register individually, and let us start moving, putting on your sneakers, you know, and your walking gear, so we can all get fit and ready for that week. And in week 3, we'll be celebrating our healthy eating. And in the health promotion units, we have what you call In Your Kitchen, our community In Your Kitchen celebrations. And so in that week, we will be having our cook-off, right? Miss Vera will speak some more on that. It is an exciting period. Last year, we had a wonderful time with our community cook-off. And so again, this year, our customers, our fans, our followers can look forward to another exciting cook-off. And in week 4, we encourage the Federation to drink, there's a campaign, You're Sweet Enough. So we encourage our citizens to drink water, healthy water challenge, and that will be happening from August 22nd to August 27th. And you know, some persons just don't like to drink water, you know? And so we encourage persons to drink, even have fruit-infused water. And that goes along with jelly water, you know? Nothing, just a water challenge. And that last year, it was real good. And persons really catch on, and we're continuing with that segment of our week. And in week 5, we speak to mindfulness and mental health. Mental health is really important, especially around these times where persons are highly stressed. And, you know, we just want to take time out for to be good to our mind, you know, be good to our mental health. And in week 6, we'll have a self-care management. And at the health promotion units, we have a program, the chronic disease self-management program. And so we'll be doing some of those activities there. And in week 7 will be our Caribbean Wellness Week from September 10th to September 15th. So we're encouraging the general public to join with us at the Ministry of Health. Just get on board with our SKN Move Healthy Challenge, Healthy Campaign, just to, you know, get our federation moving in the right direction so we can adopt a healthy cultural lifestyle.
Yes. Now Mrs. Wussel, the self-care and management. Could you elaborate on that? Because I suppose that is extremely important how people take care of themselves, how they manage themselves. Not everyone is able to manage themselves, and some people don't take very good care of themselves. So that is extremely important. Could you elaborate a little bit in terms of that?
Sure. So our self-management week, the Ministry of Health, we have what you call the CDSMP, or the Chronic Disease Self-Management Program, which gears to helping persons to helping them to manage, their condition. And so there are 13 steps. There's a guide, a 13-step guide that help persons to manage their condition. If you're diabetic, if you're hypertensive, if you just need help in nutrition, if you need help in shedding a few pounds, if you need help in anything, the program is directed to the individual, is individualized, and it helps persons to manage their condition. It's a real good program, and we encourage persons to call the Ministry of Health, seek some help on that, and we can get you moving, we can get you started, we can get you to help you manage exactly what is going on with you, be it stress, be it anything about your self-management, anything.
Because a lot of times the problems that we develop is because we are not taking care of ourselves. And sometimes not taking care of ourselves is linked to so many other factors. For example, somebody suffering with low self-esteem may not take care of themselves, right? Or may allow others to treat them badly.
True.
And so therefore I think there's also a psychological component that when we take care of ourselves, we feel better about ourselves.
I'm confident.
Yes.
In the Chronic Disease Self-Management Program, CDSMP, one of the tools that we use to help persons reduce their risk of NCDs, or reduce their risk of, or prevent contracting an NCD, is positive thinking. Nurse Wusso mentioned that we have a 13-step program, or I call it 13 tools. One of these tools, positive thinking. And like you said, someone who has an issue with self-esteem, this is a tool that would help them just have a different change of mind, see themselves differently. We have tools that will help you learn how to communicate with others, communicate with the persons that live in your house, communicate with your doctor, communicate with those who are in your health circle, because everyone that you interact with is a part of your health circle. It's not just the nurse, or it's not just the doctor. The person that cooks your food, that's a part of your health circle, because that person is responsible for the nutrition. They're the one who's going to put the ingredients in that pot that you are going to consume. So that person needs to learn how to properly cook food to ensure that you don't end up with something like hypertension or diabetes or kidney disease. So that person would have to learn also about CDSMP.
Yes,
it's not just one individual, it's a team effort.
Yes, and even if your parents, for example, are hypertensive or diabetic and things like that, whoever is cooking in the house, or whoever can give some sort of a guidance in terms of, because they already have the hypertension, they already have the diabetes, and so therefore they have to control it. And part of controlling it is precisely what you said, in terms of who is doing the cooking and what is being provided for these people in terms of their meals and so on.
That's absolutely correct. Go ahead, nurse.
Go ahead.
Of persons to assist that individual, because you may have someone who is diagnosed with diabetes or diagnosed with hypertension, and then to them it's like all hope is lost. you know, they don't know what to do. They can't come to the grasp, or they can't really identify to say, okay, do I really have this? How am I going to take care of myself? They can just self-destruct. And so it takes a whole team of persons, a whole group to help that person get back on their feet, help them, especially what Miss Vera said about cooking, and not just cooking, but their medication, how they're supposed to take the medication, and exercising, you know, help them back on their feet. So it's a group. The CDSMP program really speaks to helping individuals, whether it's a family member, or you yourself, or you just want to help out a friend. The program tailors around that to help persons.
Or Ms. France, for example, a family may know that they have a history of NCDs, and so therefore it is something that is in the family history, diabetes, hypertension, chronic kidney disease, or even heart disease, and things like that. So therefore, having that knowledge would inform the people within that family of the lifestyle that they should adopt.
Exactly, that's absolutely correct. The CDSMP is one of the best tools out there. It has been tested across the globe. It has been translated into a broad number of languages. But here in St. Kitts, we have had the program since 2015, yet our residents keep saying they don't know anything about it. In the health promotion unit, one of our jobs as health educators is to constantly sit down, try to assess what it is that our persons need here in St. Kitts and Nevis to help us get onto a healthy track. But often, persons do not take advantage of these opportunities. The strange thing is that we offer everything for free, but persons do not take advantage of these opportunities. If we don't take advantage of the opportunities, how are we supposed to get well? We have free health screenings. Persons are still saying, oh, I don't need to. How are you going to know if you're sick if you don't get yourself checked out? We have a free cooking book. We have free videos that you can log into and learn how to cook. We have the health promotion unit. You can call, have a conversation with the nutritionist who will sit down with you and counsel you. And yet people do not tap into the services that we offer. All the services at our health centers. We have 11 health centers in St. Kitts, 6 in Nevis, and a lot of persons still refuse to access the care that is provided at our health centers.
You know, because everybody thinks that they are well until they see the doctor.
Well, the only how you can prove you're well is to see the doctor.
That is correct, but that is how people think.
Unfortunately. Unfortunately. So here comes SKN Moves now. And SKN Moves, it has 3 tenets: healthy eating, health screening, physical activity. You know, the health promotion unit sat down, we organized a committee, and we came up with the 7-week challenge. It has in everything that is in there. You know, week 3, in your kitchen. And that's where some of the start is. Get into your kitchen.
Yes, in the kitchen. Tell us a little bit about in the kitchen, because a lot starts in your kitchen.
In your kitchen.
I'm speaking refined, but in your kitchen.
In your kitchen, right? You want to get healthy? You don't know where to start? Start in your kitchen. You go in your kitchen and you start using the foods that are in there. And we are pushing eat local. You grow local, you eat local. Right? Instead of purchasing these things that come in cans and bottles and bags filled with sodium and salt and filled with all sorts of additives, preservatives, whatever tips, that once we consume them, they rot us from the inside. If you grow your food or purchase your food from local farmers, then of course you're going to know what you're putting in your system. Yes? Of course you're going to know what we are putting in your system. We have a market down on the Bay Road, and a lot of our persons still refuse to go into the market. If you don't know what you're buying, guess what you can do? Simply walk in and ask a few questions. What is this? Tanya, how do you use it? You will get information by simply asking questions. And that is what In Your Kitchen is all about. How to get people eating healthy. We focus on quick, easy meals because one of the challenges that persons keep saying, I don't want to be in the kitchen standing up long, sweating over a stove. Okay, you can knock up a pot like that, out, feed family, everybody eat. Start to observe, watch your body change. Your mind becomes clear because it's not filled with junk. It's not filled with all of the chemicals that are packed into those cans. You know?
Yes.
In 2020, I'm sorry.
Don't go right ahead.
In 2020, our team sat down and was like, look, what are we going to do? And we started working with our diabetes educator, who was a volunteer from Taiwan. Yes. Yachen. And Yachen was always down in our local market. And she was always bringing something back. And she was like, oh, look what I found. And we learned a lot from Yachen. And as she purchased these things and she tried them out, she would bring them in the health promotion unit for us to try. And we learned a lot. Yes, we're from here and the things are around, and half of the things that we have growing here in St. Kitts, we were totally unaware of how to use them. What surprised us most was a lot of the things that we call weeds are actually food. And we just pluck them up and throw them out. So our team sat down and we got the number of recipes that Yachen created. We created videos to show you, the public, how to make them, how to prepare them for your family. And then at the end of it, guess what we did? We compiled all of those recipes together and we now have a cookbook.
You have a cookbook?
We have a cookbook.
Well, that is excellent. But I'll tell you something. We live now in a very busy society, a very busy world, and what you find cropping up is that many people are not finding the time to cook their own meals. And so therefore, they turn to fast foods and they turn to buying food. Now, one of the things that I have discovered is that when you buy food, because the person who is cooking is catering for everybody, and the person is not really catering to your specific dietary needs. That if you have, you're hypertensive or diabetic or whatever the case might be. And so therefore buying their food every day is not really helping your specific needs, because people don't tend to not put as much care into it because they're using a lot of salt, they're using a lot of sugars. I have stopped buying, and I'm sorry, but I've stopped buying these local drinks that people are selling. And it's not because I don't want to support small business, but what I find is that they have too much sugar in them. And that cannot be healthy for people. You know? So I'm sorry, but if it's not, if it's unsweetened, I'll buy it. Right?
Yes.
But there's too much sugar. So part of the problem is work and having this busy lifestyle that you cannot find time to prepare meals. You run to the Kentucky Fried Chicken, the what we have here, the Burger King, and all of that sort of a thing, because it is fast. Or we have a microwavable culture where it's easy. So therefore you buy this stuff and you just pop it into the microwave and that's it. But as you said, it comes with a lot of preservatives and additives and all of that.
One of the words we've been using here since we sat down is the word lifestyle. Choice is a part of your lifestyle.
Yes.
If you choose to buy greasy, your choice. If you choose to buy salty, once again, your choice.
Yes.
And if you choose to buy sweetened, over-sweetened, diabetes in a bottle, once again, that's your choice. But you have another choice, and that choice is choose the healthier options. Sounds simple enough, right? We're not saying do a total 360 because it takes time to train your tongue.
It comes, but it's a habit forming.
Yes, it is. But you start little by little. Today, instead of going down, and I don't want to call the name of the fast food joint down on the Bay Road. Today, instead of going down, why not pack your lunch, right? Make a small salad, maybe a sandwich, and instead of going down there 5 days of the week because you're working Monday to Friday, on Mondays you bring a salad.
Yes, and sometimes, people think that you are not supporting their small business. But people who are in the food business, they must have this knowledge in terms of preparation of food. Right? And so therefore, the lot of salt, the lot of fat that they're using, what kind of oils are they using, what type of, sometimes I do not think that this is the concern. Because, you are contributing to the problem that we have with NCDs. I understand what you're saying too. People have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
People have a choice, and people need to choose. But let's look at it from the other place. If people then start choosing wisely, it will force some of these people in the food business to change the way that they are preparing food.
That is true. Here is another way to look at it. The person who has been cooking for 20 years has a particular style, right? Their tongue has been trained or has grown accustomed for the food taste in a particular way. This is how they earn the money to support their family. Now, today I decide, pretending that I'm the cook, today I decide, let me try something a little different. Instead of putting 5 bouillon cubes, I'm going to put in 2. No, I'm going to take out 2, so I'm putting in 3.
Yes.
Right? And let's see what happened. Your customers come and they're complaining. Your food ain't having no flavor. And now you've lost some business. What should that person do? Should that person keep creating the food with the 3 cubes until persons get accustomed? Or until that person loses all of their business? What should that person do? Now, when we teach all about healthy eating in your kitchen, health promotion, the nutrition program, we teach everybody. But it takes time to get adjusted. Because once you start reducing the amount of sodium you intake, whether at home, whether outside of the house, your tongue gets accustomed. And the very minute that you eat something that has a little excess salt, it hits you. And you don't want it. It takes time. But we have to learn and we have to decide, come back to choice again, have to decide what it is we want for ourselves. Are we going to accept, going to eat this way until Springfield has an opening? Or are we going to slowly wean ourselves, make some adjustments? Because you can go and buy the same food but ask the person for a smaller portion. One of the issues with purchasing food in St. Kitts, our consumers are always saying, I want my money what? The money what is usually our usual large portions.
Yeah, we know what that means.
Right? But you can ask the vendor, give me a smaller portion of the rice and just add some more cucumbers on this side. You have the option. But sometimes we don't exercise our right. If you ask the person, okay, give me less of this and give me a little bit more of this, or just simply get me less of this, don't give me the bottled drink, give me water, then you might find that the vendor might be really accommodating and do that, because guess what? Now the vendor has more rice to sell. The vendor is making more money on that side. But we are so stuck in this one track that we do not recognize what it is that we are doing to ourselves.
It's interesting to look at sometimes when you have these buffet lunches or buffet dinners or breakfast or whatever the case is, and look at people's choices. Now, you look at the area where you have the vegetables and the fruits. People normally go a lot for the proteins, the meats,
Oh, yeah.
and so on, and a lot of the vegetables and the fruits are left over. And that tells you something in terms of, you know, choice and what people are choosing.
Yep.
And things like that.
Choice. We tend to choose wrong, right? We have grown accustomed to what our plate is supposed to look like. You describe what a Sunday meal usually looks like. You have the rice and peas, you have the potato salad, you have the macaroni pie, you have the corn pie, and it's just filled with starch. You want the rest filled off with the protein, right? Because me a hard-working man, my plate's supposed to look like how I work, you know? And then there's very small space for your vegetables, and the vegetables might be coleslaw, which is filled with mayonnaise. And you know, too much of anything isn't good, so you slap on the mayonnaise. All right?
Yeah.
Choice. You know, you could break your plate up into several meals.
So
you know,
we got smaller portions.
You have
having
you can eat all of that, but just not in one sitting. Cut your plate in half, eat half. When you feel that kind of full feeling, you stop.
Yeah, because
Right?
then you put additional work on the stomach
Yeah.
to digest all of that, and so therefore the stomach is overworked.
And then you feel and then you feel what? You feel
And then
sleepy,
you feel lethargic. You know, you feel sleepy.
right? And then what do? You go lay down. That 30-minute exercise that Mr. Chen mentioned a few minutes ago, where does that come in to help burn that off? Burn that up. Make some space in here so that you can eat the other half later. We don't do most of that. You know, we have choices and we choose not to exercise our right to choose.
Yeah. Time in Jamaica, people used to say it's better for belly to bust than to make good food go to waste. You know, it's better for belly to bust than to make good food go to waste. But we are going to continue the discussion, and we are going to look at perhaps public policy, because there is an economic and social cost to NCDs, metabolic chronic diseases, and things like that. So while we may think that, look, what I am doing is my business. What I eat is my business. What I smoke is my business. What I drink is my business. Stay to hell out of my business. Until something happens, you realize, you go to GoFundMe, there's an economic cost on the public health system, there's a big cost on your family because you're no longer able to work and provide for the family. We are going to have that discussion. But we are going to have a look at a promotional video with SKN Moves campaign.
St. Kitts Nevis Moves is part and parcel of the Caribbean Moves initiative, which was launched some time ago by the CARICOM heads, recognizing that the Caribbean region and the CARICOM in particular had been much challenged by non-communicable diseases. and those are linked largely to habits of people. We drink too much of the wrong things, we do not exercise enough, etc., etc. And so way back, the CARICOM heads were able to get non-communicable diseases called NCDs and the global agenda for attention so that the world could focus its energy in assisting us and assisting everyone affected by NCD in living a healthier life. A critical part of that, of course, is to minimize, if not avoid, use of alcohol, done away with the smoking, and of course to engage in more physical activities. The SKNIS moves is about physical activity, everyone finding something to do, whether it is walk, running, cycling, swimming. There are so many activities, and the more that persons do leisurely, the more healthy they can be in body and mind. So I'm happy that with COVID, or our learning to better live with COVID, we could gather and execute this, because healthy living is still a must. It's still necessary. And the good thing about it, the power lies in each of us. What we do, what we say, how we think, all these we can control with effort. Thank you.
Right. Welcome back. So we're talking about in terms of the consequences of contracting metabolic chronic disease, or let's use the large umbrella. A lot of people are familiar with the term NCDs, non-communicable diseases. And some of the consequences are social and economic, the impact. So we may think that my behavior is personal, it's individual, but my behavior in terms of how I take care of myself with respect to my health can have a ripple effect in terms of the consequences to my family, the consequences to the society in which we live, and the consequences to the economy. Mr. Chen, what do you think of that?
That you mentioned earlier, that it's people might think that's your own personal business or like your own behavior, but eventually, okay, example, once you get NCDs, and you not just affect you, it affect your family, because you would need more cost on medical expense. Yeah. And then, for example, if you are the main person who is responsible for the family income, that if you get NCD and you cannot work properly, and in the end you might lose the job, and somehow like at certain time your family doesn't have the income to support, and of course it will affect your family. And the other hand, if because when you go to the hospital, when you go to the health centers, they need, for example, the strips and the other things to take care of you, and it's an expense from the government, and it's a big, because the federation has a lot of population of non-communicable disease, so it's all summed together, it's a very big expense it's a big burden for the health system here. So it's not just you individually, so it links it to your family, and eventually will affect the whole society economically. Yeah.
Yes, so therefore, you know, it's going to affect productivity,
Yeah.
because if you are sick, then it's going to reduce your ability to produce.
Mm-hmm.
Less productivity
Yes. Mm-hmm.
equals, you know, less economic profit
Mm-hmm.
to the society.
Yes.
Less productivity in the workplace
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
is going to affect the country in terms of the money that that country makes. And if there's a burden on the health system, economic burden, then, you know, money will be pumped into maintaining that all the time. When if one takes care of themselves and there's less contracting of NCDs, then that money can go into other areas of the economy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there is a social cost and there is an economic cost.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes when you are young, you do not think in terms of what you eat. I can think in terms of myself. When I was young, you know, in primary school, in high school and so on, I mean, I was so skinny. I could eat everything and anything, and I will not pay attention to it. Later on, start to get older, I start to pack on the weight. And it's not really because I am eating more. I'm eating the same, but somehow age has a way
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
of somehow telling you that, look, you have to change your lifestyle in some way. What do you say about to that, Miss France? I mean, Miss, yes, Miss France, what do you say to that?
Once again, I'm going to use the word choice. When your body starts to speak to you, one of the things that a lot of us needs to be trained in, because I'm choosing these words because our body is constantly speaking to us, but we're not listening. Right? You get a headache, and it's like, oh, I just have a headache, not realizing it's telling you something. Something as simple as a headache might be telling you need to rest, slow down, you're going too much, you're doing too much, it's time for you to take a pause. Right? When you're younger, in your teen, you feel invincible. You don't pay attention to what it is you eat. You just eat and go. For most youths, they are very physically active. So they burn up whatever they eat. And as you go older, metabolism starts to slow down a little bit. Your body starts to give you some signals. You're not listening. You start to see a little extra loving on the side, you know, and still not paying attention to what it is that is happening. But eventually, over time, you realize you have changed. More than just the age. Your pace is not as swift as it used to be. Right? You can't run up and down as you used to when you were 16. Now, choice, what do you do? Do you continue trying to just stuff your face the way you used to when you were 16? Or do you start paying more attention to the foods that you put inside of your mouth? Start listening more to your body, because sometimes you might drink something that you used to and then realize you're having a reaction. That's your body telling you, hey, not this, out. Change. You listen, you make the decision that, okay, I am no longer going to do this. I now have to change. I'm no longer going to drink, and I'm going to say coffee. Instead, let me try something a little milder on my stomach. Choice. As you get older, your body change. and your body keeps telling you that, hey, we're not the way we used to, right? For us to reach the goal, which is old age, healthy, moving, we have some changes to make. So what it is that you are going to do?
Yeah. I remember that of course, there has to be some sort of a public policy, and there was discussion in terms of the importation of sugary drinks.
Yeah, we're working on that.
Right, and somehow banning either totally or cutting down on the number of sugary drinks that are imported. I know sometimes you go to the supermarket and you see no added sugar. Right? Sometimes you say no added sugar, and they will say, well, 100% fruit juice. And then, of course, we have a lot of sugary drinks, including a lot of sodas, soft drinks, whatever we call them, that when you look at the nutritional facts, sometimes the sugar alone is more than half of your daily value.
Yes.
In one bottle.
Yes.
And then that might be compounded because then you're eating other stuff with sugars. So you're taking in much more than you should daily.
You're taking in much more than you should daily. You're taking in much more than you can burn up. And like Mr. Chen said, it just converts into fat and it stays in your system. And then with the extra fat on the body, it makes your whole system have to work harder. It slows you down. The heart is pumping harder. Then you end up with, pick a disease. Just pick a disease. Right?
What about the you see, because people's lifestyle and their choices impact production, manufacturing. And so therefore, if people are consuming a lot of soft drinks in a country, it simply means that the manufacturers of the soft drinks are happy because they're making more of a profit. And so therefore they will be manufacturing more because the demand is high. I suppose that is where maybe some sort of a public policy has to come in, but it's going to affect some of these companies as well. I mean, cigarettes and cigarette smoking.
That's a different policy.
And then you were speaking about, I don't think we have here in St. Kitts and Nevis, any laws governing, well, we are told that people are not supposed to be smoking marijuana in the public. And that is a law. But you go to a lot of activities, a lot of functions and so on, and you have a whole cloud of smoke and so on. And then in terms of public places, restaurants and bars and things like that, we don't have any ban on smoking.
Not yet.
Not as yet.
We're working on it. We're working
right.
on it.
So those things can also affect people's health. While you may not smoke, another person's smoking is affecting you.
I know we're talking about third-hand smoke. Yeah.
There's third-hand smoke. What is the third-hand one?
Third-hand smoke is like, for example, say this is a restaurant, and sorry, William. William is smoking, right? I come in contact with William, I inhale. That's 1 degree, right? Let's say this is a smoker's area. This is the area that we have now selected just for those persons who are smoking. So in this area here is where all of the smokers will go. The rest area, smoke free. Now, after the smokers have left, William has now gone on his merry way. He gone home, I'm coming in to clean this area, I am still inhaling smoke that is left in the fabric, left on the walls, left in the carpet, and
Oh,
that
I
affects
see.
me. That affects me. His family gonna inhale all of that.
Okay, so that is the third hand.
That's the third hand.
So there's second and then there's third
There's
hand.
third hand. So we're now realizing that it goes further than we had initially thought, because first we were looking at just the first hand smoke and the second hand smoke, where the policy would just say, okay, no smoking area, or this is just the smoking area, or the persons who would be serving those persons, etc. But we've now learned that after all of that, it is still affecting persons, right? It is still affecting persons. So what we are doing is trying to create those policies that will protect us. And saying a policy that, just come up with a policy, it's easier said than done, because you're always going to get pushback, right? You're always going to get pushback. St. Kitts does not have a large smoking population. And when I say smoking, we're talking about tobacco. A large tobacco smoking population, but we simply cannot put a ban on it because it affects so many other institutions, right? We're looking at our tourism industry. We're looking at the commercial partners that are within our society, those who distribute, etc. So when we're sitting down and we're focusing on health, we have to look at everything.
Yeah, but that is why it is important to have meetings, stakeholder meetings, and so on, so that people are on board. Because at the end of the day, when the policy is enacted, people just have to follow the law. And you speak about the tourists and so on. The tourists coming here have to follow the law. When they go to London, they have to follow the law. That is the law there. They have to follow it. So they will just have to follow the law.
Easier said than done.
Yes.
But yes,
Okay.
I agree with you.
Yeah, we are going to go to the phone lines. The numbers to call are 466-2666, 466-2666, 662-8674, 662-8674, 767-4765, that is 767-4765, and the international number is 1-239-645-4500. We wait for your calls. Right. So you were saying that it is, in terms of policy, sometimes it can be difficult because you have to consult
Everybody.
with so many stakeholders.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Sorry. No, continue. Sorry.
No, but nonetheless, public policy is important and becomes even more important. For example, when you realize the damage, the socio-economic damage
Yes.
that is being done in terms of the contraction of non-communicable diseases, the economic burden on the public health system, the economic burden on families, the economic burden on the economy, the GDP, the growth and the development of the country, then something really has to be done. I am not saying that policy and laws substitute that of education, because you have to educate people. That is where it begins. You're the health educator, Miss France.
Yes, and we try our best in the Ministry of Health to ensure that we create and provide sufficient programs that will provide the education that the general public needs, no matter what the subject is. It's one of the reasons we created In Your Kitchen. With the In Your Kitchen program, it's more than just showing persons how to create quick meals. We have programs within that program how to teach you how to read your nutrition facts label. We encourage persons to turn the label around and read what is in the food that you are buying at the supermarket. We have education material and videos that
Sure.
would teach you how to.
Stick a pin there. We have a caller.
Oh.
Working for you. Good afternoon.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Leslie.
Good afternoon, sir. My faithful caller.
How are you?
I am well, thanks.
And the lady, what's your name again?
We have Mrs.
Rollins.
Rollins,
Okay, Lady Rollins.
Bosu, and Miss
Mr.
France.
Chinang
Yes, and Mr. Chen.
Chang? Or Cheng? I thought about Chinang Chang.
Chen, he's from
Okay.
Taiwan.
Okay, and the other lady, all with you. Good program as usual.
Yes. Thank you.
And I heard Mr. Ching said earlier that alcohol gives energy. Well, if that is so, those people who are hooked on alcohol, they got to be stronger than we who don't drink. But now I have a suggestion. Education is key. And if some people who are self-entrepreneurs, if they want to make more money, they would give the customers options to choose. What they should do not look at the gas that they're going to burn to cook the food. You there? Hello?
Yes, we're here.
Do
We're
not
here.
look at the gas they're going to burn to cook the food. What they should do, cook 2 medium-sized pot or 2 small pot. One with the regular salt in it and one without salt. Because people of many NCDs come to look food. And if somebody is suffering from hypertension, they're not going to buy the food with the salt if they know the one over there having salt. And once they know they have the option to choose another pot that do not have any salt, they would buy that, and then the person who's selling the food, they would not lose. So they should think about that. They provide food for people of different NCDs, and they would make the same money as if they make one pot. That's my suggestion to them. But education is good, and I think a lot of people should look at that, and it would help them. Don't look at the gas you're going to buy. Look at the option that you gave the customer, and then they will benefit from it. But anyway, good program as usual. Let's why and everybody, please don't drink no load of alcohol, otherwise you're going to get too strong.
Thank you for your good advice. Right, you know something that I don't see. And maybe people, as people become more conscious, you see popping up people talking now about a plant-based diet. You see more restaurants offering vegetarian options and vegan options and plant-based food and things like that. You see more things like natural fruit juices without the added sugar, like smoothies and things like that. So as people become more conscious and so on, they also would offer those things for people who are a society that is more health conscious as well. I know that in the UK and things like that, I mean, you can get everything. You can live really on a plant-based diet because, I mean, you know, at home, but even when you go out, the options are there. Mm-hmm.
When I went to States, I went in, I also ate less. So when I went in and out, for example, and they will, when you order French fries, they will give you another small pack of salts. So it's the decision is on you whether or not you're going to add it into your French fries or not. So all the food vendors, they should start thinking that they can provide more healthier choice or options for those their customers. So it will also build up the friendly environment for those NCD clients. They can choose a better or healthier option.
Or yes, you know, people who are hypertensive or diabetic.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you something, most people who are cooking food, that is, they are not considering that. The consideration is not, we have such a high incidence of NCDs in the Federation, but yet the people who are catering with the food, they are not really bearing that in mind. They're not bearing that in mind, and so therefore, you know, part of it is that they are, well, I know you spoke about choice, Ms. France, but part of that is contributing to the problem that we have, because you're not offering people options. Do you want the rice, or do you need quinoa? Quinoa. The options. This is not salted, but this is salty. This is unsweetened. This is sweetened. And you know, those sorts of choices.
We are hoping that we will get there. That's all that we can do from the health promotion perspective, that we will get there. We started a program back in 2013 called Slash the Salt. As the health educator, I was going to the food handlers clinic to simply educate the vendors, those same persons who are cooking our food and selling our food, on the benefits of reducing the amount of salt they put in their food. We spoke about options. But the pushback was always, how do they start? Because once they start cutting back, they're going to lose their clients. We spoke lengthy conversations, options of how we can get this done. But the challenge is it's a lot. Because you cannot educate the vendor and not educate the customer, right? Because when the vendor makes a change, the customer is not prepared for that change, then what? Then the vendor loses money, right? So it's how to create that program where both parties get the education at the same time. And that was, again, one of the reasons why we did In Your Kitchen. Right now, we have just wrapped up our series of cooking competitions, focusing on local foods. Our aim is that persons will start to gravitate more to the foods that we grow here, the foods that are available here, find ways to create recipes that are filled with flavor, low on sodium for the entire family. We had a competition in March focusing on breadfruit. The winner created a breadfruit flan, a dessert. We had April cassava. The person who won created a cassava waffle. And I mean, like, if you tasted it, you would not have believed it was cassava. It was awesome. We had, the next one was in May, and the winner, he made green banana pie. He made his own cheese. It was all vegetarian. And then the last one, the first place winner and the second place, they both made pumpkin infused pastas, 2 different type of pastas using our locally grown pumpkin. I cannot recall seeing anybody put salt in it, but the taste was like OMG. But just to let the public know that the final will be hosted on the 21st of August. Tune in to the In Your Kitchen Facebook page and watch and see if you will learn something. The main ingredient for this one, beets. beets. Usually the reaction we get is beets. But yes, beets. Our contestants are going to make something sweet and something savory using beets. Beets. Yes, it's naturally sweet.
It's naturally sweet and it's used to make sugar.
Yes.
So it might not be the best thing for diabetics.
In moderation. Consume in moderation. Yes?
That we have a consumer affairs department and we have a health department. The consumer affairs department a lot of times is basically concerned with the prices of food, price control, how much is they're selling one product compared to another product, and things like that. However, consumer education in terms of what we consume, when we go to the supermarket, are we a wise shopper in terms of really getting value for our money or for your money in terms of, and the nutritional facts, if you notice now, those things, I think it's law that they're on the labels and so on. How do you read the labels in terms of looking at stuff, in terms of the sodium, the sugars, the carbohydrates, the proteins, and all of that? Mr. Chen, how important is it for consumers to read labels and be wise in that way?
So first, I would say that the first thing that you need to know is how much calorie you should have a day. So firstly, when you see the label, you will check the calories. So once the calorie is high, for example, you can have two similar things in your on your hands. So you can compare which one is lower and which one is healthier, and then it goes to sugar content and then sodium content. Again, choose another similar product, and then you will compare and which one is more healthier. Yeah.
Right. Because, and then you see certain things, and what really do they mean? What does it mean when you say reduce fat? What does it mean when you say no added sugars? You know, some of these things, low sodium, you know, is the consumer educated in terms of what those things actually mean?
So when we do education section, we also, some, the salt is visible one, the visible salt is, but we still have so many invisible one in our daily lives. For example, bread, and also cheese, and those processed food, and those saltfish. Yeah. So we still need to educate the consumers, not just the salt that you eat. You still need to care for those invisible ones in your daily life. And we also educate, like for example, how much 6 grams of salts you can consume a day. But I know it's very hard to achieve that goal, only 6 grams of salt. But all you can do is just practice every day to reduce, and when you get accustomed to it, and you will, for example, reduce your pressure readings, or you will feel it. You will feel that your body changes, into another healthier status. Mm-hmm.
You know, Professor Hilary Beckles, the Vice Chancellor of the Sir Hilary Beckles, the University of the West Indies, has this theory that our habits were formed from the time of slavery. Mind you, we can't blame slavery for everything, especially today. We are more enlightened. But he believes that the things that were imported or brought to the Caribbean during the time of slavery: the saltfish, the pigtails, the pig snout, the salt mackerel, the what we call the red herring, and all those things are loaded with salt, and those are the things that basically the slaves were fed with. Nowadays, and it was cheap in those days, but nowadays these things are a bit expensive, the saltfish and things like that. But our salt intake, you still find out we buy the saltfish, you may say you soak out the salt. Or you soak the mackerel, or you soak the pigtail and things like that. But the key word there is salt. Salt. And so therefore, we have developed over the years this diet that includes a lot of salt because of these things. And even within the Caribbean, you find a lot of the national dish, they say salt fish, which is basically salted fish. The salted cod or the pollock or whatever you have.
And it's ironic that we desalt these salted stuff and then we add our salt.
We desalt it and then we add salt. Because the salt is used as a sort of preservative. Other people believe that it's the parts of the animals, like the pig snout and the pigtail and so on, that the Europeans did not want, that they basically exported to the Caribbean, the pig feet, which we call the trotters and all that sort of a thing. And they had the leanest pieces of the meat and so on for themselves. But
these are what doctor will take you off first when you're diagnosed with non-communicable diseases. You know that?
Take you off of those things first.
Yep. They will take this out of your diet, the saltfish, the red herring, the mackerel, the pig snout, the pig ears. They will tell you to come off of those stuff because now you're trying to preserve your health. Before you wasn't trying to preserve your health. You're eating as you want, eating as you wish, but these are what gonna lead you to these non-communicable diseases. And so you will find first thing, you go to the doctor office and doctor will say, come off of the pig meat or come off of the saltfish or come, because then you need to now control what you took out of control, out of control, So it's always, even though you're not, and I'm encouraging the general public, even though you are not diagnosed with hypertension or diabetes, still keep track of your diet, keep track of your lifestyle, and that's why we are encouraging persons to be active. Watch what you eat, watch your portion size, drink your water. There's a choice that you have to make, whether you want a fruit juice or you will just want fruit-infused water, So that will help to cultivate a better lifestyle at society, and it all starts sometimes with our younger generation, and so we need to train the palates of our children. It hurts me that first thing in the morning children go to school and the first thing they do is to go to a vendor to get a soda and a half of bread and cheese or something, or tamon jam or something sweet. Then this is the first thing that they're having in the morning,
Sometimes
so
I look at the parents and and the parents are packing up their bags with all these snacks.
Yeah.
They pack their bags with snacks. They don't really pack their bags with fruits and things like that. It's a lot of salt in those snacks and a lot of sugar and things like that. So it really starts from a very
young age.
Has to start from a young age to be conscientious of the salt and sugar,
the sugar
and the sugar intake.
Yes. Yes, we have to start. We have to start when they're at tender age that you can curb their appetite, you can curb their taste for certain things, so they can they themselves can choose the healthier option. You know, in the preschool arena, I know that they have a fruit day, they have water day, they have this day, and they have that day. And as an adult, we can do that as well. On Monday, we can say we have a fruit day. Tuesday we can have water day and stuff like that, just to incorporate slowly in our lifestyle. Wednesday is exercise day, you know, so we can become a more healthier population.
Yes. You know, we are out of time. Time has gone by quickly. And something I wanted to mention is that many doctors say that many people with hypertension and diabetes do not even know that they're hypertensive or diabetic. And so therefore that brings back the whole thing in terms of the screenings and the checks and all of that, because you could be walking around with it, and they refer to it as the silent killer, hypertension.
You know, over the past year we've been doing health screenings, and we have screened some persons who just walking around with high blood sugars and do not know that they have diabetes. And then you go further and you will ask, were you experiencing this symptom? Were you experiencing that symptom? And you will hear them say, but yes, but I don't know what it means, you know. So it's important that persons get their health check, you know, instead of walking around with all of these non-communicable diseases, and next thing you know, they fall down. You don't know what happened. Investigation have to take place, and that alone is costly as well. So we're encouraging persons to just take some time to check yourself.
It's better to know than not to know. Right, so tell me what you have to say, your parting words. Time has come, time has gone.
Okay, we invite everyone in St. Kitts and Nevis to come on board. Join the movement. SKN is moving towards a healthy lifestyle culture. We have a number of activities that's going to happen starting the 1st of August all the way down to the 15th of September. But if you still don't have the time, call the Health Promotion Unit 467-1237, 467-1233, and ask us, Wagwan, what are you doing? Find out what's happening. We could tell you when we're going to have the next health screening. Ask us when we're going to have the next In Your Kitchen competition. Join the competition. Ask to see the nutritionist if you need that sort of advice. Just ask us what's happening. This service is free. Come on board. We all need to start on this healthy lifestyle track, because when you get sick, the community gets sick. The community gets sick, St. Kitts and Nevis gets sick. It all depends on us. So why not start something today? You could start with a glass of water.
Mr. Chen.
So, same thing with, as Vera said, that we encourage the people in St. Kitts and Nevis. You started to do something new from your old habits. For example, you started to exercise a little bit more. You can start to change your diet or reduce your salt a little bit more. And then when you get used to it, and you will achieve a better life.
Ms. Wusu?
The SKN Moves, we're encouraging everyone to go on our website, peruse the page, and join our 7-week campaign.
Right. Okay, so I want to thank all three of you for coming and sharing on such an important issue, how we prevent, we control these metabolic chronic disease or non-communicable diseases. Very, very important to take care of our health. When we take care of our health, we are taking care of our society, we are taking care of our economy, we are taking care of our families when we take care of our health. So thank you very much, Ms. Vera Edwards-France, the Health Educator Counselor within the Health Promotion Unit in the Ministry of Health, Mrs. Novelia Rollins Wusu, the Metabolic Disease Program Coordinator, and Mr. William Chen of the ICDF. He's a project manager for the capacity building project for the prevention and control of metabolic chronic diseases. Thank you very much for listening to our program today. And to our caller, we want to thank him for being a faithful listener to this program. We will be back hopefully next week with another Working for You program. Until then, I am Les Roy Williams. Take good care.